the highway under my seat. Hey, summer's burning, I can feel the heat. Yeah, my dash is warm, but my top is down. Got my pedal to the metal for higher ground. When I get to the crossroads, I won't act the father of lies, no. But like the four angels, step inside, take a ride to the other side. Yeah, I broke down in Tennessee. Get back to Georgia seemed death for me. But I was found by Elijah's hand. No promise of fail when ruin his plan. There on that highway I was blinded by the light. Said the salvation was up ahead in sight. Knew it was right, shining through the night. I'm on the highway of redemption. There's no speed limit where I'm bound. I'm on a road that has no wind. But before it's too late, you should get your soul in shape. Still got room inside my car if you want to fly to the other side. Let's fly.
Hey, how you doing out there? This is Bob on Bob's Blues and the News, coming to you directly from Atlanta, Georgia, off the cuff. Just giving you my 3 cents. That's a little tune I done did called Highway of Redemption. And we're all looking for redemption one way or another, right? I hope you're looking for redemption in the right way. You got to stay with the light and don't go onto the dark side. So what do you want to talk about today, huh? It's the middle of the week. It's hump day. Well, I guess I have to mention the speech, the State of the Union speech. As I said, the SOT, State of the Union, yeah. ST, I always pronounce these acronyms, SOTUS, right? SOTUS, State of the Union address, right? Is that how you say it? It's SO, what is it? SO, what does it use all the time? I don't know why it doesn't come out and say State of the Union address. State of the Union A. Maybe SOTUA? Yeah. State of the Union address. SOTUA. Yeah. So I listened to the SOTUA speech. I'm sorry. I'm having a meltdown. It's just that I think it's funny how people like to use acronyms all the time. You know, we live in that kind of world. People haven't got time to spell it all out for you, right? Well, hopefully I'll take a few minutes and spell it all out for you here on my podcast. But anyway, that was a tremendous speech, in my humble opinion, by Trump, by the President of the United States. And he definitely embarrassed the Democrats. You know, he was calling them out. He put them in the spotlight because, you know, they were never standing up for anything he said and things you would think they would stand up for. Like the one big thing he got them for, other than the one about fraud and looking at Omar right in the face and her compatriots. In fact, Omar got so upset she was shouting back at him. Because there's been a lot of fraud and corruption. So besides that point, the one other point was made. He was saying, and he asked about who, everybody stand up, please. So he said, I'm paraphrasing, who would say that Americans are more important than the illegal immigrants, that you would, I guess, defend the Americans should illegal immigrants come before U.S. citizens. I think maybe that's what he said. And you know, and stand up if you believe Americans should come before illegal immigrants. And every Republican stood up, you know, of course. You know, you want your own country, your own citizens to have an advantage, to be treated better than illegal immigrants who come here illegally and do all kinds of crime. Of course, you know, that's rational. That's a part of civilization. That's part of, you know, following the code of what's just, you know. If people come here illegally, they shouldn't have any rights. surely he shouldn't vote, which is something else he was pushing for in a SAFE Act, where everybody would have to show their citizenship, an ID, before they could vote. So he was saying, yeah, man, stand up if you agree that Americans should take precedent over illegal aliens. And, of course, all the Republicans stood up, but none of the Democrats stood up. Maybe Fetterman did, I'm not sure. But anyway, so he looked around at them, and this went on for like 10 minutes, and he says, can you believe this? These people would give away the store, I'm paraphrasing, to the illegals over what's due to American-born citizens of the United States. And, of course, Republicans applaud Trump for this. They said, USA, USA, USA. But none of the Democrats would stand up. And it went on. The applause by the Republicans went on. And you could see it. And you looked at the faces of these Democrats. A lot of them really looked embarrassed. Some of them actually looked like they were sleeping, and they didn't want to hear it. They was like hiding their eyes. It was shameful, really. And Trump really played it well. Man, did he give it to him? And so I thought, it went on for a long time. It was a long speech. I think it would have started at 9 o'clock. I think it was almost 11 o'clock by the time he finished. And he said a lot. He praised the American. He was very patriotic. He gave away 2 medals of honor to 2 brave soldiers. And one thing we didn't know about what happened in the Venezuela raid, it seems like we almost didn't do it because there was a helicopter that got shot up and the pilot got wounded and he could hardly control the helicopter, but he fought through all the pain to make sure the helicopter landed at the right place and the mission could be accomplished. And at the last second, he just told his co-pilot, I'm out of here. I'm going to pass out. But he saved a lot of people's lives, and he saved the mission. Because if that helicopter had gone down and couldn't fulfill this mission, the whole thing would have been called off, and it would have been a disaster. So that guy, and I forget his name, but he got the Medal of Honor right there in the hall where they did the State of the Union speech. And another guy who was a great warrior, soldier, pilot, another pilot who shot down so many planes, I think, in the Korean War, but he also flew in the Vietnam War and World War II. He was 100 years old. And they also gave him, because he had kept that story hidden. He had never been publicized how brave he had been and how much valor he had shown at the time he was in the service. And they gave him a Medal of Honor. Plus, the soldiers who got shot in Washington, one girl got killed and one guy survived it. He got wounded. They were shot by terrorists, of course. And he got Purple Heart. So he was recognizing all these people. He recognized the angel moms, the moms who had lost their daughters to criminals who were illegal aliens. And so, it just proves the suffering in the country. A lot of it's been due to the woke policies. And, it's been obvious. It's obvious to me. It should be obvious to anybody who has a brain that what the woke has done to this country is horrific. It let everybody in who wants to come in, who said, you don't have to have cops. You don't need law and order, and allow all this corruption to take place, to steal the elections, to fund all these fraudulent activities like Minnesota and the Somalians, but it goes into a lot of states. California probably is worse. And this money a lot of times ends up into the hands of terrorists. No wonder we're fighting the terrorists everywhere. We're giving them tons and tons and billions of dollars so they can come back and kill us. How crazy is that? How crazy can we be? Trump sees the truth, and you might not always like his approach, but he knows he has to do something. He knows he has to act, and he has the right vision for the country. One that adheres to the Constitution, that believes in freedom, that believes in free speech, that believes in law and order, that believes in keeping our borders secure, that believes in building the economy. And, of course, the economy was a big deal, too, because a lot of people are still suffering. So he has to continue to build the economy, especially for the middle class. And he's doing that. He really is trying to. I noticed he offered to set up 401k plans now for federal workers where they can participate. in a 401 plan. He set up these accounts. I think it's just called Trump accounts for kids, where they can start off, where the government will give them a little money when they're young to start off investing, having money in the market, basically. He's trying to get pharmaceutical prices. He's really knocked down. He's doing so much, and prices are going down. Maybe not as much as we'd like them because they went up so much because of COVID, and then Biden, his presidency. I mean, it was like we had 4 years of no president whatsoever. But so he's done so much good for the country, and now we're still dealing with Iran, and Iran is going to be a showdown, I really do believe. And Trump wants to be known as the peacemaker. But sometimes, in order to show peace, you got to show strength. And that's the way to keep the peace in the Middle East, is show strength. You have to be strong, and you have to be willing to, to slam down a hammer when you have to slam it down. And the regime in Iran has got to go. Those people have suffered enough. And who will take over? The Persians, for the most part, will take over. They're great people. They've been around a long time. The Jews are very close to the Persians. They'll be probably the best friends for Israel in that part of the world. Once the Iranian regime is taken down and there's some sense of democracy in that place. And I think there will be. So we'll wait to see. It could happen anytime, But, I think they've got one more powwow tomorrow, Thursday. And Iran keeps playing hardball, I heard somebody say they really want America to attack so they can kill a couple of Americans, and everybody would get upset because a couple of Americans got killed, and, everybody would be calling for them to withdraw after that. And you get all the people on the left and all the isolationists on the right, and all the journalists crying bloody murder because we lost a couple of our soldiers fighting for freedom. These people really are after liberty, and they are not barbarians like the people they're fighting. They're cultured, they're civilized. You've studied the history of Persia. It goes back thousands of years. Cyrus the Great was a big Persian king who allowed the Jews to go back after the first temple was burnt to build the second temple. So the Jews have always been close to the Persian people, and I've looked up to this King Cyrus in history. And before, the Ayatollahs showed up, the Shah was very close to Israel, and the people themselves are very close to Israel. But it's barbarians that rules the place now, and they've got to go because they are very, very dangerous. They keep on building these missiles, more and more dangerous missiles. I understand they just got some from China that could perhaps hit our warships. Very concerning. And of course, they want to build a bomb, and any way they can get back at, they might have enough uranium to do it, actually. They need the facilities to really actually make the bomb, but, they do everything they can to make it, and they really do want to destroy the world. These are barbarians because all they believe in is death. Don't tell me they believe in a God. They believe in death. That's all they believe in. And if they look like they're praying to death itself, because all they know how to do is destroy and kill. Anyway, for that somber note, I'll check off. But I'm staying positive because redemption could be at hand. Some people think that Persia, Iran, is Gog. End of days, man, you read about it in the Bible, Gog and Magog. So if you look at Ezekiel, in fact, and you can look it up, was it 38? Look up Ezekiel 38:5, and it talks about Persia being Gog, and it talks about other countries and Persia forming alliances against Israel. It's very eye-opening. We could be there. Who knows? Anyway, love you all. Take care. Be good to yourself. Love and peace is the answer, but hate is the enemy, and you've got to destroy it. You've got to put down the hate. You got to speak up against the hate. That's what you got to do. Anyway, see you next time on Bob's Blues and the News.